Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander viewers should exercise caution when watching this program, as it may contain images of deceased persons.
I'm Kimberly Benjamin and welcome to Season 6 of Noongar Danju.
Kaya, Nya Neil Coyne, Nya Noongar Marmot.
And I'm a proud Yaru Bardi Gidja woman from Broome, and for the past 5 years I've been living, studying and working down here in beautiful Whadjuk Noongar country.
Nya Court Jerpin, I'm happy to be here hosting Noongar Danju, bringing new stories and profiles for Season 6.
We've got a lot in store for the show this year, so join us as we share stories and hear from some amazing people doing deadly things in Noongar country.
Noongars are our people, and Danju means gathering, and that's what we aim to do here at Noongar Danju. We gather together stories of people and Muditj performance, and we hope that this season of Noongar Danju will inform you, move you, as well as hopefully inspire you.
Everyone loves to watch films, and now with the rise of Indigenous filmmakers, our stories are being heard.
The rise of Indigenous filmmaking is beginning to positively change public views of Indigenous people, and will continue to do so for years to come. Abby Williams reports.
Here in the southwest of Australia, increased funding and support from federal agencies and places such as Screen West have enabled motivated Noongar filmmakers to produce their stories. Not only nationally but internationally, audiences are witnessing these spectacular films, the stories that are transporting us into an immensely rich and spiritual world that has existed for over 40,000 years.
I think in the past, Indigenous films probably weren't regarded as something that was an important part of the Australian film culture.
Hailing from the northwest of Australia, the current Screen West Indigenous manager, Kelrick Martin, directed and co-produced many films, including the documentary musical Prison Songs and Diagon.
Around the 90s, you've had things like the Deaths in Custody Commission, and you've had the Terra Nullius results in Mabo and all that sort of stuff, and it really started to change people's political beliefs and political understandings of Indigenous Australians. And reconciliation, of course, was a big movement at those times as well. So I think a lot of government departments started to take upon themselves to really want to make those changes. One of the key organisations, I think, which made change for Indigenous film was Screen Australia, when they set up their Indigenous unit back in the mid-90s, and they started to focus money and energy on developing Indigenous filmmakers.
Dr. Glenn Stasik is highly regarded in the Indigenous film industry. Owner of Black Russian Productions, he's an active member in the Noongar community.
1979-78, there was a film called My Survival as an Aborigine from Essie Coffey. That was the very first film that an Aboriginal person was in control, or certainly in key control, as a director, an auteur, as part of the filmmaking process. So up to that point, there were about 5,000, if not 6,000 hours of ethnographic material that were recorded and produced by non-Aboriginal filmmakers about Aboriginal culture. So it took one film in 1978-79 to actually change the landscape. A lot of the Noongars, or a lot of the Aboriginal community, already know about these particular stories. They're aware of them. It's making the wider audience aware. And I try and find an audience that is young through to old. I want people to come to my films to be educated, to some degree entertained, and then certainly maybe changing their point of view.
Writer and director Dennis Simmons is a highly respected member of the Noongar community and co-directed the film Whadjuk to Wodjamap.
In the past we've been trashed in the media, always negative stereotypes, those kind of things. So having, films that really highlight our plight, the good things that we do, our culture, our history, I think it's really important for people to know about that, because in Australia, Aboriginal issues and Aboriginal people are kind of swept under the carpet. If somebody wanted to get into an Aboriginal person wanted to get into the film industry, firstly they could approach Screen West and say, look, and they'd be speaking to Kelrick Martin, but it's not an easy industry just to walk in and make a film. Screen West does have opportunities for first-time filmmakers to come in and do a little short film, which is always good a good first step.
Look, Indigenous filmmaking and Aboriginal storytelling and Aboriginal multimedia is completely on the rise. Audiences love it. International audiences particularly love seeing Aboriginal stories on television and in camera and on in festivals. And the voice is there, and now it's about making sure that we continue with telling the stories that have been thousands of generations in the making.
Joining us now in the studio is film director and dancer Perrin Bonza. Welcome, Perrin. And Carla Hart, who's also a filmmaker, writer and performer. Welcome, Carla.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us here on Noongar Dangi.
Now, Perrin, tell us how you got into filmmaking.
That is a very interesting question. I'm not entirely sure. I guess one day I stopped dancing and started making films.
Carla, you recently won the Western Australian Screen Awards for your first documentary, Magic Quadongs. Can you tell us about your experience?
The first one is quite special to me because it's about the season of the quandong, and which is a native fruit. And even though, you know, I don't live home, like we still go home for quandong season and various other seasons. So it was filmed with my family. So there's a lot of my family and my country in that film. So to actually win an award and, you know, have my family in such a beautiful film about something so special to me is, yeah,
It's
amazing.
coming up to Quadong season, isn't it?
Quandong season, yeah. Actually, I just directed a doco in Noyangarup for FTI down there about the mission and the reserve people. And yeah, we went quandong picking, so that was a lot of fun. So I actually made jam the other day. Yeah, and warmed it up in the microwave, had it with ice cream. The perks of being a filmmaker, you get to do some really fun stuff when you're in country.
Yeah. Talking about fun stuff, Perrin, you've directed a great range of documentaries, including Fighter, which features our host here, Neil. Can you tell us about your experience working together?
Yeah, you know, Neil's a great guy to work with. He's a very, well, I don't think I need to tell you how strong of a character he is. Very, very enigmatic guy. I guess probably the hardest part of making that film would be asking him these really, really personal questions about, you know, his family and you know, past traumas in his life. That, you know, you don't really want to have anyone relive such painful memories, but you know, we were making a documentary, and unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately in this case, we were able to make a documentary that, you know, perhaps can show people how they, you know, that they too can get over their own traumas that might have gone through. I don't know.
I felt it was when it first went through, it was going through depression and stuff, and me sharing that with, I suppose, everybody, and looking at it now and hearing from people now talking about it being motivating them. So and being a motivational sort of doco. So that's the kind of feedback I get now. So and while we're talking about motivating, we want to know a little bit about what motivated you. You know, what was that turning point in your life to say, you know, filmmaking, there's something that I can do?
Well, I mean, I've studied performing arts at WAPA and at ECU, and I guess I've always been a storyteller from a small age. I loved English and, you know, writing. So it was kind of like a natural progression to filmmaking, because I was already writing plays and acting and, you know, doing various other things in the arts and the community. So I was saying before to Kimber, you know, like having been like brought up in the country, been around a lot of elders, you know, having that knowledge of cultural things, I also feel like it's my responsibility, if I have the skills, to write.
There's so much great things happening in Indigenous filmmaking. What, in your opinion, is something that can change or improve for the wider audience to see what's happening in Indigenous filmmaking?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. You know, I guess You know, in terms of, like, I mean, NITV, it's great that it's on SBS now. ABC do a lot of really great Indigenous programs as well. It'd be fantastic to see more Indigenous programs on, you know, like mainstream kind of channels like 7, 9 and 10, so you get used to an Indigenous face. I mean, we have Maine Wyatt, who's on Neighbours now, and but you rarely see blackfella faces on mainstream shows unless it's, you know, like a random here and there. So, yeah, I don't know, I guess it's more commercial, but people themselves, you know, audience members need to start tuning into alternative media rather than the mass media so that they can watch more, you know, amazing Indigenous television and film.
Thank you, Carla and Perrin, for joining us here on Noongar Dandri, and good luck for your future films and projects.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Welcome back to Noongar Dandri. Jade Dolman is not your everyday girl. At just 20 years of age, Jade is an educator, an artist, a university student and a model. In her spare time, Jade runs Indigenous art classes for the community, teaching everyone from school kids to community elders about Noongar art and culture. Jade also paints canvas and designs and sells jewellery in an effort to share her culture with others through art.
My name is Jade Dolman. I'm 20 years old. I'm of Noongar and Eastern Aranda heritage, so Whadjuk Noongar. With my art business, I go into schools and I teach Aboriginal art, Aboriginal dance and Aboriginal culture. And I also go into organisations and run workshops for Aboriginal art. So we do large mural pieces as well as individual pieces on canvas or stones. So I first started teaching classes when someone just came up to me out of the blue and asked me if I would be happy to run a class at the Fremantle Cultural Centre. So the symbols that I was teaching in those workshops, I do like to use them in my own work, but I also try to think outside the box, so not just stick to the rules of what the symbols mean, and sort of interpret stories in my own way and depict them using different colours, and different techniques. This painting is called Dembart Mort. Dembart is my grandfather, so my pop, and Mort is family in Noongar. I really wanted this piece to be a dedication to his ancestors, so his mum and dad, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. For the background of this painting, it's like a galaxy sort of theme, and there are 13 stars which represent each of my pop's brothers and sisters, and the largest one is himself.
She has a broad relationship with her Aboriginality, and she's utilising all of this. So I am only a part of that.
He has helped me stay connected to my Aboriginal side, and so I really look up to him and he's my inspiration.
I'm very proud of Jade and her art, and her message clearly carries the importance and very significance of her sovereign native people.
I haven't been painting for that long. My whole childhood I wasn't very artistic when it comes to painting. I've always been really creative in everything, but I've always been like a maths and science person. And then it wasn't until I finished school and then I started really picking into my creative side of my brain.
Most are amazed with Jade as a person. From somewhere she's gained the confidence to be able to do her university studies, and out of her spirituality has come the yearning to do the art.
Jade went all the way through high school there, so I got to know her through just being the school chaplain, but also used to run a number of programs that she was a part of. The classes that Jade are running I think are very valuable because it's our Aboriginal culture, but we live in Western Australia and we live in Noongar country. I think she's really come alive with the painting. I think it's given her an outlet to express her culture and herself, her individuality. I like the work that she does. But I don't just like the paintings that produces. I think I like the fact that she takes it just beyond just art and painting. and she turns it into something that's much more useful, relevant, engaging.
He's just been a big role in like motivating me, sort of, and helping me to see the potential that I have.
I just think that she's going to go a long way. This is the beginnings, I know, and I've said it to her for years that whatever she chooses to do, she'll be successful.
Now we're going to go take a look at traditional Noongar healing and bush medicine. Noongar woman Dale Tilbrook talks to us about healing and how Noongar healers place equal importance on both spiritual healing and medicine.
When I think of bush medicine, I think not only of plants, but also of animals and the spiritual side of healing. Several years ago, my late partner was very ill and he was on the critical list at Royal Perth. He was in the cardiac ward and one of his old brothers brought another old brother up who was supposed to have had Marban. And I believe it because everyone around me was believing it. And he shut himself in the room with old boy and went to work on him. And when he came out, he said, he'll be okay now. Well, he was.
I remember as a kid saying to her, well, how did you know to do this? You know, and she said, oh, our people have always done this. But I said, how did they know? And she turned to me and she said, well, they'd watched the animals. So in their environment, they learnt from the animals. And a lot of animals, when they get sick, they will eat, you know, some dirt. Some animals eat grass.
The peppermint trees that grow all over Perth, people don't take much notice of them, but they were always our instant Vicks Vapor Rub. So if you've got a sore throat or a tight chest, get a young leaf from the tree, just crush it up, and as soon as you do that, you'll smell that familiar smell, that camphoraceous smell of Vicks Vapor Rub. Marlindup Aboriginal Gallery has been operating in the Swan Valley for the last 17 years and we've been in this building for the last 11 years. I often think that the only reason I hang paintings on the wall is to entice people into the gallery so that I can talk to them. Wait for it, all these are the next superfoods of the world.
Thank you for joining us here on Noongar Dangi. We'd like to introduce you to now Peter Farmer, a prominent Noongar artist who uses ancient Noongar designs, one of which is featured in our very own Noongar Dangi logo. Let's take a look at his artwork, creative designs and learn about his collaboration with Kim Fitzpatrick.
My name's Peter Farmer. I'm down south, born in Niangrup in 1971. I paint pictures, paintings from stories that I've been told when I was a young boy. Put it on paper as a drawing, put it on a canvas as a painting, or put it in sculpture form. It's out there and people are going to know the story of our culture. As an artist, I suppose, you try everything. Like I started from paper to canvas to 2D to 3D. So with our surfboards, our concept is we do our ocean theme. So all the surfboards have got all our ocean animals, but we've produced a lot of our Noongar names to those animals and stories that are going on the surfboards.
My name's Kim Fitzpatrick and I'm involved with this company now for 40 odd years. We do everything in glass that's artistic. So clients come to us when they want something in glass and it has to have a creative angle. So what Peter and I have been doing is we have collaborated together on converting Peter's Indigenous amazing art into glass. When we have an exhibition, it's about taking people on a journey and learning about the culture and also about how Western culture and Indigenous culture can work together and create a really positive outcome.
I would say for me, it's working together. I'm learning from Kim, Kim's learning from me, and we put that together to bring out a beautiful artwork that's everybody's going to enjoy and it's going to get out there. The Indigenous side and the non-Indigenous side coming together and making a piece of artwork that's going to look spectacular
And tell a story.
And tell a story, and people are going to love it.
And that concludes the first episode of Noongar Danju. We'd love for you to like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Noongar Danju and follow us on our brand new, for this season, Instagram page at Noongar_Danju.
We also have a fantastic new website where you'll find current news from all over Noongar country, as well as stories from previous seasons. Just search noongardanju.com.
Please join us now in welcoming a singer who has never left the spotlight after being invited on stage by Mariah Carey during one of her concerts.
She has a beautiful voice. Here's Angela Rule with Back to Me.
I walk to you every morning, your face and body warm, and tonight felt so safe. This was always, but that's changed. I'm walking this lonely road, the one we shared, and you held me close, struggling to take the steps, astride now barely there, and I'm begging you be back for me, just waiting for you to say, baby, I'm begging you be back for me. My tears come down so loud, the sound falling like a rain, but there's no way they'll hit the ground. If you come back to me now, these will not seem so lonely. This empty houses swallowed with me. Loneliness is more than I can take. Every inch of my body is about to break. Can't help my emotions taking over. Wanna feel you over my shoulder, where you looked into my eyes. My tears come down so loud, the sound falling like a rain, but there's no way they'll hit the ground. If you come back to me now. And I'm praying you'll be back for me, just waiting for you to say, baby, I'm praying you'll be back for me. My tears come down so loud, the sound falling like a rain, but there's no way they'll hit the ground. If you come